And as of January 2026, the Nigerian domestic petroleum sector is undergoing a significant transition marked by a shift toward market-driven pricing, increased competition from local refineries, and a decline in pump pricing, dropping from over 1,000 naira to around 750 naira to 847 naira per litre. The sector has now transitioned to a willing buyer, willing seller model. But amid ongoing volatility in global crude oil markets, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery says it is targeting full price stability in Nigeria, positioning domestic refining as a buffer against external price shocks and a key pillar of the country's post-subsidy energy future. But with pump prices still fluctuating and many Nigerians yet to feel relief, critical questions remain about how much control local refining truly offers, how soon stability can be achieved, and whether the promised benefits will reach consumers nationwide. Oil and gas expert Dan Kunle is on the program tonight to help us with some answers, if not all, but most of them. Nigerians want clarity on prices, supply, and how these changes impact everyday life. Mr. Kunle, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much, madam.
Welcome to Politics Tonight.
Thank you very much, Olajumoke.
Thank you very much. So there's a widespread belief that local refining automatically means cheaper fuel. But if you're going to base this on data from comparable oil producing countries, is that assumption statistically valid? Now, when Nigerians hear local refining means cheaper fuel, are they being misled?
Let me say welcome to 2026 by our good audience across the world, because we have seen all the Christmas and New Year all over the place. So now we are back to face 2026 realities and the challenges of political and economic dynamism of 2026. Let's start like this. The issue of local refining capacity, crude oil refining capacity to meet our domestic market, as I've always said, is an issue we must always examine carefully. The local capacity to refine is situated in how many refineries? For now, in one refinery. That's Dangote refinery. It has the capacity to refine for us locally. But the question is, where does he get the crude to refine?
Okay.
Is he getting the crude locally, 100%? No. Okay. If he's getting the crude from abroad, at what cost? So we will continue to explain this thing over and over. Your input cost, that's your feedstock, raw material, it matters a lot. So if it is local,
landing cost? Yes,
then the refining cost, then amortization cost, all those interest rate and so on and so forth. So as it is today, we have enjoyed a relatively good pricing in the last 2 months. The refinery has been very consequential to our comfort in the last 2 months. December and January, we have really enjoyed, because he really stabilized the market. And the normal December hostilities that you and me used to know in the olden days, yes, it was avoided. But okay, let's now go to the issue of whether this refining capacity is meeting our domestic market. Yes, his refining capacity is meeting our domestic market. It would have been even more better if the government-owned refineries were working, because at least they have capacity. The mini refineries that are doing small, like 5,000, 10,000, they are not that very significant. Okay, but having said this doesn't mean they are adding something to the marketplace. But you see the impact much. If you still go to Bayelsa today, you are still buying petrol at more than 1,000 naira per litre in Bayelsa, in part of Delta, even part of Rivers.
I mean, some Nigerians thought deregulation should have fixed that.
No, it's very good, Jumoke, that you are bringing me now to the issue of deregulation. This deregulation you see, we deregulated locally, but when we deregulated, the import bill of Nigeria for refined products was already very high, and the continuous import and dumping have not stopped. Okay, in the last 2 months, we can say Dangote refinery has tried to finally sort of put a stop to that, because Dangote refinery is pumping out between 45 and 52 million liters of PMS per day now from the gantry. So the import have not really stopped, because they had already ordered those cargoes, those consignment. So those inventories are still within the tanks or in the vessels arriving the shore of Nigeria. Okay. So their price, there is what we call import parity. The price with which those products are landing, the owners of those products are in trouble, big trouble, of what to do to mark and match the price of Dangote. So it's a problem now. So some of them, yes, some of them now, they will take Dangote products, sell around Lagos area, and the imported one they have, they will push it upland to go and sell at higher price. So that is why the deregulation will work, but we need the regulatory authority, the Nigerian midstream downstream regulatory authority, to now come to come to the place now and exercise their power.
All right. So talking about Dangote refinery, the organization says it is targeting full price stability. For Nigerians struggling daily, what does that mean? Does stability mean prices would stop rising? Does it mean it will fall? What exactly are we saying here?
Stability means you can have what we call relatively stable pricing regime. Stability also means you can predict the next 60 days. But in commodity business, particularly oil, anywhere in the world, oil and gas, it's very difficult for you to have a long-term stability. You can only have short-term, medium-term stability if you plan very well. Why? Because the volatility surrounding the production of oil and gas is very big. Just one decision of President Trump, see the uncertainty it has brought to the marketplace by just that movement to go to Venezuela and seize the president of Venezuela. So see the daily production of the crude from Venezuela. This shipment has been stopped. So what's supposed to go maybe to China or to somewhere else, maybe India or somewhere else, is now being diverted. So that type of uncertainties, when Russia and Ukraine had problem, you saw what happened to the price of gas in Europe. So for that reason, the issue of stability, Nigerians must situate their country. We must situate this country in a position that we have no control over anything called commodity production and supplies. And I will mention them. You cannot determine the price of rice in your country because you don't produce enough. You cannot determine the price of sugar in your country because you don't produce enough. You cannot predict and determine the price for the next 90 days of petrol in Nigeria because you don't produce enough crude. You cannot determine the price of gas. Even your cooking gas, our cooking gas, you cannot determine it in the next 90 days because you don't produce enough. So since you don't have the apparatus and the mechanism to produce enough from your natural giving resources, you depend so much on the vagaries of the international arena because you are import dependent. So that means Nigerians dream every day to think the price of something can be so stable for the next 6 months.
We are deceiving ourselves.
We are just dreaming, exactly. We call it wishful thinking, fantasy.
I like that clarity.
Yeah, so I hope you understand now. So people, even the fabrics that you and me are wearing today, you can't determine the price. So until
we start producing enough, Nigerians will stop forget about price stability.
Yes. So, but we can manage depending on the strategic reserve. If Dangote refinery is able to hold strategic reserve that can take us for like say 60 days because it has enough storage capacity.
So is it
okay, then you
fair?
can say, the price will be relatively good for the next say maybe 2 or 3 weeks or 1 month.
So is it also fair to tell Nigerians that domestic refining will not make fuel cheaper?
Yes and no. And I will tell you, if the domestic refineries are all working today efficiently and they have enough feedstock of crude, you can attain economy of scale, relatively stable price, and affordable. Do you get my caveat? If all the refineries are working, the 4 refineries owned by government, if they are doing full production capacity, and the feedstock they are having is coming from local crude producers, then you can have relatively stable price. But as long as that gap is there, as long as that deficit is there, you are going to import crude oil. If the 4 refineries of government are working today, where will they get crude to feed it when you are doing below 2 million barrels?
But I just thought they could depend on Dangote refinery for cheap fuel.
The Dangote refinery at 700,000 barrels in few days' time cannot get 700,000 barrels from local.
I mean, those are the stories sold to Nigerians. You know, those are the stories sold to Nigerians that with Dangote refinery would get afford in cheaper prices.
If he gets, I continue to tell you, take this caveat, and it will always, that caveat will remain certain.
You say until all local refineries, refineries
even if the Dangote refinery is working full capacity today, take this caveat home. Where will that refinery get the crude? Is it locally, and at what price? If it is international crude he's going to use to feed that refinery, at what price? That remains an issue always. If the price is at $60, good enough from international market. If the local crude is at, say, $58, $2 discounted.
No.
Not paying premium. At the moment, it's even paying premium. He's paying premium on, if they give him crude today at 62, they will tell him to go and pay premium of about $4 or $5.
All right.
That's already 65. So even if he refine in full capacity, he will meet our domestic market. But I don't want us to be saying, oh, will the price be cheaper? I told you, cheapness is a relative issue.
All right then. I think that point has been made.
Yeah.
But private depot owners have adjusted petrol and diesel prices across Lagos, Warri, Port Harcourt and Calabar over the past few days. And they say this is happening because Dangote refinery is facing operational challenges, limiting production capacity. How true is this?
You see, this is marketing gimmick. Dangote refinery has enough stock to look after this country. Today, maybe they did about 45 to 46 million liters evacuation today from the country. Let me tell you, the way that the refinery is configured, if one unit is done, it will not stop production. You understand me now? It will not stop production. The heart of the refinery, they are doing some debottlenecking there now, the heart of the refinery. But all other units of the refineries are working. So the place is still producing because the refinery was designed strategically not to stop production. You understand me now? Not to stop production. Unit by unit can be shut down for expansion, for rework, for repairs. I hope you understand me now. So all those market gimmick, oh, the refinery is not working, clear that one. He has enough strategic reserve there now to feed the market, which he's doing every day. This country, as of today, we are fuel secured. As of today, we are fuel secured. We still have huge energy deficit in terms of gas, raw gas, processed gas. We have deficit in crude oil production and export. But in terms of fuel, the strategic situation of Dangote today, Nigeria is fuel secured.
But you've also raised concerns about the dealer's sluggish adjustment to the Dangote refinery promotional offers in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But I'll allow you give your submissions on that when we come back from this break. We'll take a break at this moment. Focus on pricing equilibrium, PMS pricing equilibrium, and also amplifying the deepening of the stock markets by the Dangote refinery and the Petroleum listing. And if time permits us, we may also x-ray Nigeria's electricity supplies crisis, the persistent grid failures, and markets liquidity. Thank you very much for staying with us
Thank you
on
very
the
much,
program, Mr. Kunle.
Yeah.
You told me off air that many dealers have been slow to pass on Dangote refinery promotion and PMS offers. What exactly is driving this sluggishness?
It's from the time I started reading newspaper around 1972 as a young boy. I've never seen the price of anything in Nigeria to go up and come down. So
who would you blame for that?
The dealers is our system, because we are import dependent. We stock what we did not produce. Nigeria is a seller's market. That means sellers just sell to the market. It does not produce. So Nigeria is not a buyer's market. America is a buyer's market. The buyers.
We're hoping that changes very soon.
Yes, it's difficult. If you don't go into heavy engineering and manufacturing, you cannot become a buyer's market. You can mass market. You go and buy tire now. You go back and say, oh, the tire had problem. The man will say, oh, sorry. He has no warranty now because it's just a reseller. So the people selling products in Nigeria, mass product like petrol, some of them stock these products over time. So when Dangote refinery adjusted price downward, you were expecting all the dealers and retailers to also drop prices downward. But you see, it didn't happen. They held on to the price. You know why? Those stocks were imported, and some of their products are still in the vessels, and some are in the tank. So they were caught unaware. They didn't know that Dangote refinery has that level of capacity to come to the market at that price level. So now, this is where we need the regulator. I'm so happy. Let me congratulate President Tinubu.
Could it be that this happened because they do not trust the system, and that any time Dangote may decide to just increase the price again?
No. Let me firstly thank President Tinubu for finally reorganizing the downstream, midstream regulatory authority, because that issue was one issue that has been bedeviling Dangote refinery. The management and the commission of the midstream, downstream regulatory authority, you remember all the shenanigans they have created for this refinery. So now we have a new chief executive regulator there, Seidu Mohammed. Okay, and we are now going to have a board. If it were not to be the way our Senate in this country run like they run like child's play, otherwise by now they will have screened those commissioners and the chairman of the midstream, downstream regulatory authority and get them to go to work. Now we need the regulator now to enter into the market space, and say, you, the major importers, I want to see what you are importing. What is your stock that you are holding? Why are you selling at this price? Why the local? The regulator does not need to dictate price, but the regulator can moderate price.
To ask, yeah.
I hope you understand. He can moderate because he knows, he has the template. He knows the cost and all the margins that are built in there. So he can moderate it and say, look, if Dangote can bring this price at this level, you who is importing bad product, low quality product, you cannot sell at this price. You must adjust and come to the middle of the marketplace.
It's a lot when you say they're importing bad product, low quality product.
And now, okay, we are back to the regulator. The regulators, please, get their laboratory ready and test what is imported and test what comes out of Dangote refinery, and then do price comparison. This is where the regulator has failed the country in the last 4 years.
Do you also think this slow or sluggish adjustment, indicates a deeper trust issue between refineries and downstream dealers?
No, the downstream dealers are reluctant to adjust price downward because they believe that
isn't that a trust issue?
It's a trust. They are afraid that they will lose. They know they are losing money, but they don't want to lose money. Meanwhile, Dangote refinery is losing money because Dangote refinery will have said, see the margin that these people are selling. Let me also inch up and close my losses. But he stayed there in the last 2 months on promotional basis that, oh, let me prove to the marketplace.
But are Nigerians really genuinely seeing the benefit of those promotional
Thank you, Jumoke. The Nigerians today are not seeing. The Nigerians that are buying from MRS, from or the people who comply by Dangote's price arrangement, they are the only one benefiting. If you go to buy from other petrol stations at say maybe 845 or 850 or 870 in Abuja, in some places it's even 900. As I've just mentioned, some part of Bayelsa, you will not get petrol less than 1,100 per liter. So in which way has those people benefited from Dangote's largesse of the last 2 months? So the whole promotional exercise and market entry of Dangote today is like they are just bleeding, they are just losing money every day. While the other dealers have reluctantly held on to the price because they have already committed money to the stock.
Even with these promotional offers, motorists, Nigerians are still paying huge sums of money for engine buses and all of that. But so what would need to change for the average motorist to feel the impact, the effect immediately? And the ultimate thing is consistency. I
feel for the consumers in Nigeria, because the regulator now has a work to do. The previous regulator chief executive was doing no work. He was just warming his desk. He was a political guy. So now the technical guy there and the NIM chairman, Gbita Adeniyi, I hope they will inaugurate him as soon as possible. They are the one who have job to do. Gbita is a first-class oil and gas lawyer. So, and he was involved in drafting.
What difference with that?
Big difference. He drafted the law. He drafted the Petroleum Industry Act. That very midstream, downstream regulatory authority, he knows it at the palm of his hand. So he knows what to do. And Seidu has been part of the system over the years. So I believe the regulator will sit down and do their work now. They may have to deploy emergency laboratories, mobile laboratories, to take the quality of what the importers are bringing. And it's time for them to check the licenses and the volumes and give us the exact figure. These are the scientific things we needed so that they can use it to guide what Dangote refinery is going to bring to the market, what will be imported. So, if you know the deficit between what is locally made and what will be imported, then it allows you also to know the price variation or whether we can attain import parity price.
So I want to move on to other matters, but quickly, you argue that domestic refining can buffer Nigeria from global oil shocks. But crude oil is still priced internationally. Isn't Nigeria still exposed?
We are so much exposed that I'm even worried for us for a reason. The capacity for us to ramp up production of crude oil is very low.
But they say we're doing better.
They said they have improved. We are waiting for the actual figure.
I mean, you're an expert and you're an insider. Aren't we doing better?
No, I know, but at times I don't want to say too much in order not to hurt the system. The system at times is very sensitive. So if we are doing between 1.5 and 1.7 million barrels today, okay, we need to inch up to 2 million barrels, as I've said. And what you need, look, I was excited when I heard that Bonga was coming up. I was very happy. I said, oh, this is very good. Because Bonga is offshore, they suffer less interruptions compared to onshore. So we may be inching towards something in the next 2-3 years. Okay. All other things being equal. I think President Tinubu, for the first time, I'm very happy that he granted all those incentives. And to look inward into the onshore asset, all the marginal fields operators should be given special incentives now, targeted incentives, the same way they have given to Bonga, so that the volume of crude production can increase. Then you can now be able to feed Dangote refinery effectively, locally. Then you can now maybe feed the government-owned refineries, which I believe should be sold this year. I believe government should allow BP, the Bureau for Public Enterprises, they should privatize those refineries this year. The NNPC should hand over all those refineries off their books. They should give power of attorney through MOFI to BP to privatize those refineries. If you don't do that, you will just be carrying dead weight, the same way we have been carrying dead weight in Ajaokuta. We have been carrying dead weight of so many assets, aluminum smelter.
All right.
So
I'm sure you know,
yeah.
Mr. Dan Kunle, I'm sure you know that whether or not we produce optimally, Nigerians are looking for cheap fuel prices. And if we're using scenario analysis here, what happens to domestic fuel prices over the next 3 to 5 years under these three conditions: stable FX, FX depreciation, and expanded local refining?
Stable of everything, not only FX. If you produce less crude oil,
what are the other factors?
Now, if you produce less crude oil,
okay,
and you produce less gas, your foreign earning from oil will also drop. If the international price of crude oil and gas drop, even if you produce 2 million, your revenue also will be relatively low because the price of oil has dropped. If it dropped to 55. So this game, madam, is very dynamic. That's why I always talk about war room. The president needs a war room where these things can be monitored on daily basis. All the variables that determine our situation in this part of the world.
The president needs a war room to monitor himself.
Yeah, you need a war room. They know the president needs a team.
What's stopping us?
It's the political will to do it and the understanding of the people in power. See, let me tell you, madam, all the variables that determine what happens to you and me, they are beyond us. They are beyond the leadership in this country. The external forces that affect us are so many. Electric car, for example. Renewable energy, for example. Even maritime, for example. I hope you understand me now. So you cannot, if Saudi Arabia decide to pump 12 million barrels today, and America decide to move from 14 million barrels to 15 million barrels today, where is your own internal capacity here to ramp up even 200,000 barrels per day? You are going to order rigs from them. They will give you rig that's supposed to be delivered to you in 24 months. They will tell you it's 36 months. You are finished.
The president is optimistic and, expectedly working towards it. But if you were advising in government purely on data, not politics here, what is the single most impactful
I am even
reform?
more optimistic than my president.
So what's the single...
Optimism requires pragmatic plan and pragmatic approach and program management.
So what's that approach? What's that single most impactful reform that would reduce petroleum price volatility in this country?
The president should do more the same way he has done for Bonga now. He should give more incentive now to the marginal field holders.
The local refiners?
Marginal fields that are producing crude oil 1,000, 2,000 barrels per day. They should give them more incentive so that they can, because interest rate is killing them. So many royalty fee, this penalty. So that if you don't do that, we will just remain in this circle. I hope you understand me now. So the president must give more incentive to them to go and produce more. All our problem, madam, is to deploy the 4 factors of production appropriately in this country and produce food, oil, gas, produce everything, textile, cotton, go and produce more cotton, produce granite, just be producing.
So production.
Okay. So that is it. I think.
So Mr. Rwani has projected that the anticipated listing of the Dangote refinery on the Nigerian exchange 2026 could more than double Nigeria's stock market capitalization to above 200 trillion naira. From your perspective, is this outcome realistic within Nigeria's current capital market framework?
Yes. Thank you for this issue of Dangote refinery listing on the stock exchange. It will be the revolution of the Nigeria Stock Exchange since it was created. And Nigerians will all feel it. All Nigerians will feel the impact when that refinery
So if we're speaking to a layman, ordinary Nigerian, please simplify this.
Well, the only way to simplify is that every Nigerian that has bank account should just buy share, even if it is 10,000 naira he has of Dangote refinery. Even if it is just 10,000, just tell your brother or your sister, please give me 100,000, make her just buy this share. You know why? The yield, the dividend yield, 6 months, 1 year down the line, will return that 10,000 in 10 folds. So it is better for us to understand it at that preliminary level. Just that preliminary level. if you now move from that level, you graduate to corporate investors who will buy large chunk of that share. You will see how it will, even foreign portfolio investors that are going to buy the share. So the share will revolutionize the stock exchange. The stock exchange owners and managers, they will have never seen a fortune like that. So it's a big bang. We call it the big bang we arrive in the stock exchange. So, and it's good for this economy. And I congratulate President Tinubu that during his own time, this type of thing is happening. He should seize that opportunity also, so deepen some sectors. Because that means the refining, the liquid refining sector is now being deepened. So he should look into other sectors, power, agriculture, something else, petrochemicals.
Okay. I mean, you've called this a revolution, but I'm concerned. I mean, I'm worried, and this is my worry. Does the Nigerian exchange currently have the liquidity debt to absorb a listing of that magnitude without destabilizing other equities?
No, they have. I will tell you, the space is there. We have a robust market base. They have. What happens is this, madam. Jumoke, let me tell you. When the small players are in the pond, small swimming pool, like Lagos is a lagoon. From the lagoon, if you enter the Atlantic Ocean, everybody can swim in the Atlantic Ocean, but the current there is not a thing to play with. So the Lagos stock market today is like a lagoon. So when you bring Dangote refinery into the place, it will just open up like the Atlantic Ocean. It will become very big. Everybody can come into play. I hope you understand me now. So it will attract London investors, Germany investors, American investors.
But for those worried about market dominance by a single corporate group becoming a systemic risk instead of strength.
No, the people, investors, we have a lot of fishes to select from. I hope the dolphins there, all of them are there. I hope you understand. It's just that it will just add color to the market and wealth to the market and prosperity to the market. It's not going to kill the other ones. No. They will co-evolve. It's a co-evolution. The cement is still there. People must still build houses. It's not only petrol.
Realistically, when people think about Dangote,
yeah,
they talk about monopoly.
I've told all of you in the media to please try. You still refuse to remove that word from your dictionary, from your vocabulary.
I mean, you know that is what it is.
Well, please, please appeal to federal government to open up their refineries in Porako, Warrior, and Kaduna.
Let's talk about other issues.
Privatization.
Let's talk about other issues that I'm clear. We're talking about. I want you to help us explain Nigeria's electricity supply crisis. What exactly is the challenge?
Oh, that is very good. Till today, apart from Gregu, Femi Otedola, and maybe Transcorp, none of these electricity entities are on the stock exchange. So it's time for us to encourage the electricity sector of Nigeria also to move up the ladder.
Is this about investment?
And get listed. It's the poor investment in the electricity that is killing us. You see, let me tell you. You remember ECN? Okay, maybe you don't know ECN, Electricity Company of Nigeria. Good. ECN, from ECN to NEPA, from NEPA to PACN, Power Holding Company of Nigeria. I was there when we created that one. Then we unbundled to 6111, which was the architect was Dr. Larry Babalola. 6111. That is 6 Gencos, 1 transmission company, and 11 distribution company. We call it discos. So people used to joke with it that you people are going to discos. So now, I think our problem is that we did not manage the privatization process properly. It was politicized, over-politicized, and destroyed. The politicians since 2015 to date, I was so ambitious and very optimistic that President Tinubu will be the first president that will get electricity right. Why? He attempted to do something when he was governor in Lagos with a power generating plant he brought here from America. And he had conflict with President Obasanjo because President Obasanjo is a very assertive president who wants to get things done. So when that transaction failed, I thought President Tinubu, becoming the president now, was going to take electricity by the, and got it debottleneck. Unfortunately, in the last 2.5 years, I don't even understand what is going on in the industry. So I feel very bad that he has
you said this is about poor investment.
It's poor investment, and he has a minister that does not understand the industry. Have you ever seen a minister now talking about metering? How can minister be talking about metering of electricity? When you build your house, who talk about the type of fridge you should buy inside there, the type of television, the type of air conditioner you should buy there? So why should, once there's technical standard...
He doesn't know what he's doing.
No. The President Tinubu has not gotten a good minister of power. Finish. They don't understand the industry. I can say it on CNN. If President Tinubu invites me to a meeting today, I will say, Mr. President, how can you have a minister that is talking about metering? Meter is just an apparatus in my house.
Concentrate. That's not the only conversation he's had.
That's the only conversation I've been seeing him talking about.
You've been seeing.
Yes.
Not the only conversation.
So now we cannot get electricity by that approach. Let's face the reality. Transmission is the core. Generation is very easy. Why? Generation is usually in a fixed place. It's a fixed plant. I hope you understand now. It's a fixed plant. So it is the transmission of that electricity from where it is generated to the people who will distribute it to you and me, to industries that have problem. And transmission infrastructure is the most expensive all over the world. Transmission and distribution. You know why? The amount of transformers you need, the amount of wires you need to loop the whole country together. This Lagos, all the heavy industries in Lagos and commercial houses, madam, they generate on their own close to 7,500 megawatts a day when I did the calculation. On their own. Which means if Lagos today gets direct electricity from a generating company, say 5,000 direct to Lagos, Lagos industries will boom. Lagos commercial life will double. I'm telling you. Because if you take away all these private generating companies on their own, there's companies that are generating electricity on their own using gas or using diesel. If you take that capital out of their hand and you provide it from somewhere, say you go to Papalanto or you go to Dangote refinery and generate 5,000 megawatts and put it in Lagos, Sagam axis, you will see the economy you will produce. You will see the boom. Is that the
primary reason for this persistent grid failures?
The grid failures, madam, the grid failure is because government has failed since 2015 to look into this thing. And I want President Tinubu to look into this transmission issue carefully.
Say government has not looked into it. It may not be enough, so that's why you're here tonight. What exactly must we do? If you could advise the government or investors, what's that single most...
The technical examination is already there. The documentations are there. The technical examinations of the diagnostic report of what should be done with the transmission infrastructure of Nigeria is already there.
You've always had that, almost every year.
What should be done now is, how do we phase the investment? Do we regionalize the country again and say, okay, capture Southwest with Lagos, redo the transmission infrastructure separately, capture South-South, capture North-Central, redelineate the country and rebuild the transmission infrastructure and loop them. Because if you think you can continue crisscrossing the country like this, even if you produce 6,000 megawatts today, you put it in the system, it will collapse. Because the transmission infrastructure is not robust enough. I had somebody discussing that. Why did they not privatize the transmission when we created 6111? Transmission is a natural monopoly. If you want to privatize it now, it means you have to unbundle it to zones, as I've just said. It means you will now say Transmission Infrastructure Company of Southwest, Transmission Infrastructure Company of Southeast, So you, Professor Batinagi, you look after Southeast. Where will they get the capital? The capital to build transmission. So government has to create a special bond. Government is the only one that have deep pocket and does not go bankrupt. You can only continue to devalue and create money.
Is that why we have
government.
2 trillion naira electricity subsidy a year? Is this good for us?
What do you call it?
Electricity subsidy, 2 trillion naira a year.
Is from the production and transmission deficit now.
Is that good for us?
It's not good, but even if you go from band A to band AAA plus, the money you are getting from consumers like you and me can never fix electricity in this country. Consumers using electricity to watch Owambe and Africa Magic can never pay the price of electricity. Only heavy industry can give you electricity. And I will continue to recommend President Tinubu must sit down and call the people who matters in this country, who have patient capital or who can mobilize patient capital and wait for 5-10 years period to get their money back. To say, you give me, I have continued to list their name. Call Tony Elumelu and say, in Ugeli, give me 5,000 megawatts. Aliko Dangote, you are already a superman in Lekki, Aja area. Give me 5,000 from your axles there. Then call Batinagi, you are in Aba area. Give me 5,000 there and design a looping for me. So if you do like that in 5 places, madam, you are already talking of 5,000 megawatt times 5.
That's 25.
Even if Femi Otedola have sold Geregu, the new buyer, okay, go and expand this Geregu plus Geregu 1 plus Geregu 2. I want 5,000. So unless we do this, we will not have, you and me will be in this darkness. Is this not the same way we were talking about it 10 years ago?
Absolutely.
When Baba Buhari was there and they were playing game with propaganda.
This is a conversation we must continue some other time.
So electricity can only come when we do the right thing. And I want this government to really do the right thing.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Dan Kunle. Dan Kunle is an oil and gas expert. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with civil